Joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is Arise News analyst Emmanuel Efeni. Good morning, Emmanuel.
Good morning, Ruben. Good morning, Rufai. Good morning, Victoria. Tundu.
Good morning.
Look here, Ranga.
Thank you.
A knockout necklace.
It's called the Tundu.
The
It's named
Tundus.
after me.
You happy with
Efeni, please do your work.
I'm sure the women will be taking note right now.
Okay, we need to take a short break. Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Emmanuel Efeni is still here with a review of top stories in today's newspapers. Over to you, Emmanuel.
Yes, we'll go
Efeni.
straight to the review, and we'll start with this day, Nigeria's newspaper of record. The lead story, Council of State meets, receives briefing on insecurity. Dariye in Nyame, 157 others pardoned. Reject Atuche, 2 others. Buhari meets CDF, Chief of Defense Staff, Service Chief, Tuesday. Federal government to conduct census in April 2023. Yes, the president exercising powers conferred on him by the Constitution has granted that amnesty. Pardon to 157 persons, but being headlined by Joshua Dariye.
159.
159. Headlined by the pardon granted to Joshua Dariye, former Plateau State governor, who was convicted for corruption. And former governor of Taraba State, Nyame, Jolly Nyame, yes, he was a jolly good fellow. Jolly Nyame, also for corruption. Well, coming few days after the U.S. report, which this day is reporting, U.S. report, Nigerian judicial officers demand bribe for favorable rulings. Of course, that report, the country report on human rights practices for 2021, which is available on the U.S. government site, rated Nigeria very low on the fight against corruption. So if persons who have been convicted for corruption are getting pardon, well, I think the image does not sit well. But this report, talking about Nigerian judicial officers demand bribe for favorable rulings. Yes, and the document added that there was a widespread public perception that judges were easily bribed, and litigants could not rely on the courts to render impartial judgments. Of course, the spate of rulings at one point, which even hiked the NJC, the National Judicial Council, to summon some judges, is one which easily comes to mind. And recently, even the federal government had to get a ruling against a section of the Electoral Act 2022 from faraway Umuahia. And many were wondering what manner of judgment, and some even use the word procurement. But here is the U.S. report on Nigeria. Not a good one. But those who have gained pardon will be happy. And many, perhaps, also deserve to be pardoned. But for Joshua Dariye and Jolly Nyame, I'm sure many will say, what manner of fight against corruption? If political office holders who are convicted don't serve their term, so it's just a matter of time, or the party you belong to. But let's just look at other stories quickly, because the National Council of State dealt with other issues yesterday. The census that will take place next year, I hope this time we'll get it right and we'll all concur. Because controversy usually trail the outcome of our census. to the extent that till date we don't have a reliable census figure. We rely on projection. But let's hope next year will be different. Now, the Punch newspaper, insecurity, U.S. approves $1 billion attack helicopters. Others for Nigeria, Buhari mid-service chief, insists Nigerian military must undergo human rights-related training. PDP knocks APC over killings, kidnappings, says ruling party has failed. Well, one would have been excited with this 1 billion attack helicopters, but we were more than excited over the Tucano jets, which are even more effective, I want to believe, than these helicopters. But many months after the delivery, the fight against insurgency terrorists seem not to have changed much. Rather, situation is degenerating to the extent that these bandits, these terrorists, just roam the savannah freely and even live large inside Nigeria's forests. We call those areas ungoverned spaces. So perhaps when these helicopters come, I won't call them a game changer. If Tucano cannot change the tide, then I won't call attack helicopters game changer when it comes to insecurity. But the impact of insecurity is there, reported in the Vanguard. Plateau massacre, how 106 persons were killed in one night. More than 100 houses razed. Killers went after men, gathered women under trees in attack villages, embarked on selective burning of houses, allowed women to return to their burnt houses after concluding operation. We are ready to negotiate with terrorists, says families of abducted train passengers. Accuse federal government of doing nothing to rescue their loved ones. 18 days after, demand immediate release of 141 persons still in custody of terrorists. Talking about those who are in custody, the Daily Trust newspaper, 8 years after, 24 Chibok parents dead, 109 girls still in captivity. Bring back our girls, seek reforms against kidnapping. 1,500 students abducted, according to Amnesty International. 11,536 schools closed. Now, the Nation newspaper, experts, economy will sink further with 4 trillion subsidy. National Assembly revises medium-term expenditure framework. Police get additional 182 billion naira for salaries. Yes, economists are protesting and making their position known on how this government is running the economy. And a quote, the combination of debt service and petrol subsidy is likely to continue, is likely to consume the entire revenue of this government. Those who are in the economic think tank team of this government, I don't know whether they'll be proud of the outcome of this government. But just quickly, one foreign newspaper, the Times of London. Prime Minister wants first Rwanda migrant flight in weeks. Schemes, 30,000 cost per person is dropped in the ocean compared to with present asylum system. Yes, Priti Patel who put that plan in place. And the Boris Johnson government wants that the first flight to leave for Rwanda with asylum seekers in the next few weeks.
6 weeks.
It's 6 weeks. Well, for Rwanda, it's not, they're getting something in return. The government will donate 120 million pounds a year to help support and integrate asylum seekers and to resettle a person of Rwanda's most vulnerable refugees. At least 120 million pounds going into the Rwandan economy is something.
That's a lot of economy.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money for an economy
yes,
that's 10,
yes.
15, 20 billion dollars.
So maybe
that's a lot of money.
Some thinking there by the Rwandan government to get in some
Human rights activists are saying that is insane and it's costly, both from the human angle and from other angles. And although we don't have time, we need to go. Our guest is ready. The U.S. now selling Cobra attack helicopters to us. I think that's a good development. And other weapons, and $25 million to provide technical assistance to the Nigerian military to make sure they respect humanitarian law. But how about President Buhari's request that AFRICOM should be relocated near the theater of operation? Maybe the U.S. will look at that. They had opposed this sale in the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, both Republicans and Democrats. So this is a good development for the administration.